What's up guys, and late last night overnight the House of Representatives passed two bills. They had a late evening and I'm going to be sharing with you all the details and the video footage. This is your breaking news and stimulus update. Now you guys, first off, take a look at this. The House passed a sweeping $1.5 trillion Omnibus spending bill. The House of Representatives did this. Now I shared with you yesterday, the Speaker of the House, Nancy Pelosi, had to pull out tons of pandemic relief because what they were trying to do was take funds that were left over from the American Rescue Plan Act that was supposed to go to states, counties, and cities to give the residents and stimulus packages, stimulus checks, and they were trying to use it for this one. Well, we're hearing states saying over 30 of them saying they didn't get all the money they were supposed to get to help out their residents, so that had to get pulled out. But they still passed support for Ukraine and some additional spending. I'm going to be sharing with you in this $1.5 trillion omnibus bill and the details and the video footage. Now, in addition to that, they also passed a bill banning Russian oil imports, authorizing sanctions. So we heard those execution orders coming out from the president. Let's go ahead and dive right in. And first, let's start off with some video footage of them passing these bills late last night in the House of Representatives. And this vote, the ayes are 260, the nays are 171 with one recorder present. The second portion of the divided question is adopted, and without objection, a motion to reconsider is laid on the table. So there you have it, you guys, and last was late last night. Now link the description below to this article that came out. This is going to give us a little more detail that says House passes a sweeping $1.5 trillion omnibus spending bill, and it says the House passed a sweeping $1.5 trillion omnibus spending package on Wednesday night to fund the government hours after lawmakers had scrapped billions in funding to combat the pandemic amid resistance from Democrats upset about the plans to yank already allocated relief from states. Now, as a part of those bipartisan negotiations, the House passage of the Omnibus package, which is funded the federal government through the September, was split into two votes so that lawmakers could register specific support for the defense spending portions. Now, the House first voted 361 to 69 to back funding for the Pentagon, Department of Homeland Security, and another nation's security priorities, and then a 261 to 171 vote with just one Democrat, Rashida, to leave the voting president to adopt the provisions largely related to the domestic programs. Congress faces a crunch to get the legislation to President Biden to his signatures. Since the current federal funding expires this Friday, they have to get this done by this week, or we could be looking at the government shutdown. Now, lawmakers also passed a stopgap measure by voice vote that lasts until Tuesday to ensure that the Senate has enough time to clear the omnibus package without risking a government shutdown. So, in order for them to make the deadline, they are putting another stopgap funding bill, just kicking the can down the road, sounds like, till the 15th Tuesday to go ahead and make sure there's no shutdown. Now, this omnibus package includes about $14 billion in emergency funding to boost humanitarian security and economic assistance for Ukraine, so showing that support for Ukraine and also essential European allies in response to the Russian invasion, as lawmakers on both sides of the push for more support to Ukraine. The legislation was delayed for several hours after a number of Democrats came out against plans to repurpose previously allocated funds from the state government to help finance their federal pandemic response efforts. So they had to yank that out. Otherwise, they weren't going to get this funding to help support Ukraine. I'm not going to tolerate that. If they can pull that out, we might be able to move forward, said Representative Brenda Lawrence. She said this before the bill moved to the floor while noting that her state would be affected by the plans. Now, also negotiators included more than $15 billion in pandemic supplemental funding in an earlier version of the package unveiled at 1:30 a.m. on Wednesday, so the night before another late night after the White House last week called for lawmakers to authorize $22.5 billion to bolster federal pandemic efforts. Now, a White House official warned Wednesday that there will be dire consequences from stripping the pandemic aid it requested from the package without additional pandemic response resources. The results are going to be dire. In March, testing capacity will decline. In April, the uninsured fund, which offered coverage of testing and treatment of tens of millions of Americans who lack health insurance, will run out of money. And in May, American supplies of monoclonal antibodies will run out. Simply put, failing to take action now will have severe consequences for the American people. The White House official says, so you guys, they pulled that out, but we're gonna be seeing that they're still saying they've got to pass this. And we also heard it asked yesterday, will this be included in the stimulus reconciliation bill? We heard Nancy Pelosi say, kind of give a response that was like, no. But we will see, because they're saying that they still need to get this through. We will see if they were able to be passed by some bipartisan means. But as it stands right now, doesn't look like it's going to happen unless Republicans are not going to get on board, unless they're able to reallocate existing funds. And right now, Democrats are saying that they are not going to allow it because not everything was allocated the way it was supposed to be. So we will see. Now, in addition to that link in the description below to this article, that another bill was passed in the House of Representatives banning Russian oil imports. And this is the House passed the legislation on Wednesday to ban imports of Russian oil and authorize further sanctions following the similar execution orders from President Biden. Lawmakers passed the bill on the bipartisan basis for 14 to 70. So across the board, pretty much agreed to get this through. Only 15 Republicans and 2 Democrats voted against the bill. Now the vote now puts members of both parties on recording backing an action that is likely to further increase gas prices, which is already reaching record levels in the United States due to the Russian invasion of Ukraine. Now, as of Wednesday, the average price of regular gas was $4.25 a gallon, up to about 60 cents from a week ago. And just a month ago, the average price was $3.47. So you guys, this is rocketing, and this ban on Russian oil we're hearing is just going to cause it to go up further. So brace yourself. Now, the vote to ban the imports on Russian energy is effectively symbolic, since it followed President Biden's move on Tuesday to target one of Russia's main sources of wealth. But it highlighted a rare area of bipartisanship and unity between Democrats and Republicans. So, as we mentioned, they already had execution orders. This is basically symbolic, showing that the American lawmakers in Congress, they support Ukraine, they do not support what Russia doing. But you guys, we're going to be seeing high oil and gas prices, but very happy to show the support for the people of Ukraine at this time. So you guys, that is the latest 2 bills passed in the House of Representatives last night. And as more info in this August here to keep you up to date, we're still going to be seeing what's going to happen with additional pandemic assistance funding, what they're going to be doing with those funds that never went out from the American Rescue Plan, also Build Back Better, revised, revamped, known as the Building a Better America, next stimulus package, and we're hearing more phases to come, lot unfolding. I'll keep you up to date here on the channel.